Those who know me well know two things. One, my online banking password is the serial number from my first Nintendo, and two, I am a big fan of these emulation drive products. They're such a good way for newbies to get started with emulation, and even for more advanced dweebs like me, getting something that's all set up for you is a pretty sweet concept. The idea with these things is that you can buy the drive and use it with the computer that you already have, and it comes preloaded with all the emulators and the front end and a massive library of games, so you can just plug this in and start using it right away to turn your computer into an emulation machine with basically no setup needed. I've reviewed a whole bunch of these things, lots of them I loved, but the last one that I reviewed, the Hyperspin Attraction System, was the biggest and craziest one that I'd ever seen. But now there's a freaking new one, and they've attempted to fix all my gripes with the previous system and add a bunch of new stuff. So did they do it? Is this the definitive emulation drive that we've been waiting for? Well, let's find out. And now before I show you the thing, let's talk about what the thing is and what you need. I always get lots of questions about this stuff, so I'm going to explain it very clearly and simply in a way that even you can understand. This is a hard drive, and it comes with stuff on it, and you need to use it with your computer, your Windows computer. You plug it into your computer and you can run the program on it from Windows. And in that program, it allows you to view and play all the games on this thing. The emulation front end and the emulators are all set up for you, so it's more or less plug and play. If you have a controller that you can use with your computer, you can use that to play your games. You can also use this on a mini PC to turn it into like a retro gaming console. Any computer can run the emulators, and any computer can play the easy stuff. But if you want to play the higher end stuff like Xbox or PS2 or Xbox 360 or PS3, you'll need a more powerful PC. I'll throw up some specs on the screen of the kind of computer that you need for the various tiers of emulation that you'll get here. Also, I get questions about this. Yes, you can buy this just to use the game library, and you can copy those games to any other device for all your emulation needs. When it starts up, you'll be greeted by this screen where you can select which front end that you'd like to use. And here is one of the biggest and best changes that we have on here in this new version of the Hyperspin drive since the last version. We have multiple front ends to choose from. In the last version, it was only Hyperspin, but now we have Launchbox or RetroBat or TeknoParrot or Hyperspin. And Play Night, which isn't retro games, that's PC games. And we'll talk about that in a bit. My personal favorite front end for the retro stuff is RetroBat, but real quick, I'll show you the other stuff. Hyperspin is the same system that we had before. It's meant to be fun and flashy with tons of sounds and videos playing everywhere you go. This is what you'd want if you were using this in an actual arcade cabinet, or if you just want your emulation computer to feel like an arcade thing. It's kind of a fun setup to explore. Hyperspin is just like no nonsense. It's just your games, which you can launch and play, and that's it. It is fun to look around this Hyperspin system though. It really would make a great front end for an actual arcade cabinet. And then TeknoParrot is basically the same, but this is for high-end arcade games. You know, like modern 3D arcade games. The front end that you use to browse them is also Hyperspin, but they launch through TeknoParrot instead of MAME. I don't really love TeknoParrot stuff for the most part. I don't really like modern arcade games personally, but it is cool that this is here. Next up we have Launchbox, or Bigbox I should say. And in here they have everything except the arcade stuff. So Atari all the way up to PS3. Bigbox is good, lots of people love it. It's simple to use and it has all the extra options that you need. It's organized into nice categories where they've separated out the extra stuff like the hacks and the different regions. The games all have scraped videos and you can launch them and they all work. Everything that I tried worked totally fine. No faffing about needed. So if you like this clean, simple interface, Bigbox is pretty good. But my personal favorite of these interfaces is good old RetroBat, which is an emulation station-based front end. It has the same stuff in it that is in Bigbox, so Atari up to PS3. I am nuts about emulation station. It's what I personally use on every device that I can. It's just the best front end, in my opinion. which is the best opinion. And they've done a really great job of building this RetroBat system. So with RetroBat, you can choose from different themes to change the way it looks. Right away, I changed it to the art book theme because that's my jam. Just like with Launchbox, you can browse through the systems and go into the systems, and all the games have scraped art and videos, and you can launch the games and they all work great. RetroArch is all pre-configured with logical hotkeys. Some of the systems use standalone emulators and they're all ready to go for the most part. I think there was one or two that I needed to like set the controls, but the vast majority of stuff just works right away. One of the things that I like about RetroBat is that it gives you all the options for the emulation in the front end. For example, let's say I want to play Crazy Taxi on Dreamcast with upscaled resolution. Well, I can just go into the Dreamcast menu and go down to advanced system options and then change whatever I want in there. And then when I go into the game, boom, there it is. I didn't have to open up the RetroArch settings or anything. It's all done through Emulation Station. I also love that the game lists are easy to navigate. So if I want to filter my games by any criteria, I can do that. It's just easy as heck to do everything that I want to do. Easy and powerful. That's why I love Emulation Station. However, the one dum-dum that they made here is that the arcade games are only featured in the Hyperspin section. You can't get to them through RetroBat. I would rather launch my arcade games from here. So what I did was I just copied over my own Final Burn Neo ROM set to RetroBat. It only took me a few minutes, and this covers all my needs now. And now we're on to the game lists, and this is probably the most exciting thing about these emulation drive things. It's what really makes them appealing. Obviously, getting something that's all set up for you is nice because then you don't have to do stuff by yourself if you're scared of like setting stuff up. But even for someone like me who likes setting up emulators and front ends, collecting a 12 terabyte ROM library is not something that I'd ever want to actually do. And that's what you get here. And here's the thing. The game lists are amazing. This is the best set of retro games that I've ever seen. For all of the retro systems, these are 1G, 1R ROM sets, which means one game, one ROM. So they will have every game, but they will only have one copy of each game with an English North American priority. So the game lists will be complete, but also clean and efficient. And they have complete ROM sets for basically every retro system that you could ever think of. They have all the old stuff like Atari and NES and Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, TurboGrafx-16, and even older like computer systems, the Commodore 64 and Amstrad CPC, Amiga, and they have all the obscure old consoles like Megaduck and Super Graphics, Vectrex, all the Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance. Okay, I know that you're itching to see the higher end stuff, so take a freaking look at this. Not only do they have every older game, but they also have all the Nintendo 64 games and all the PlayStation games and all the Dreamcast games and all the Sega Saturn games, all the PSP games and all the Nintendo DS games. And what's this? All the GameCube games. Every single GameCube game ever is on here. And all the Wii games, which is just freaking nuts. Every single game from those systems, you get that all here, all set up and ready to play. Or you can copy the games to your other emulation devices. That just blows my dweeby mind. And we get almost 500 3DS games, which is nice. And on the topic of Nintendo systems, we actually get over 200 games for this system. And I don't personally like that this is on here. I know that this is kind of controversial, but yeah, in my opinion, this is a modern system, not a retro system, so this shouldn't be here. But I figured I should show you so at least you're not surprised. But beyond that, we get 62 original Xbox games and 115 Xbox 360 games. All the best games from those systems are on here, running great. We also get 639 PS2 games. PS2 had a massive library, so not even a 12 terabyte emulation drive could hold them all, but 639 is an insane amount of PS2 games. All the best stuff is here. And then we also get 173 PS3 games. Like, what? And PS3 plays so well. I'm running this on my modest gaming PC with an i5-10400 and an RTX 3060. But even on this modest PC, there was nothing that I couldn't play on here. And that's why I think that this is a great pairing for not just like a gaming PC, but like a higher end mini PC. Get yourself something like the GMK TekDweeb Nookbox K8 or the Ioneo AMO2 and pair it with this, and you got yourself an emulation setup that you can connect up to your TV and play any game up to and including all the best stuff from Xbox 360 and PS3 just with this one setup. However, there is one black stain on this product, in my opinion. I complained about this before in the last version of this, and I'm going to complain about it every time that they put this crap on here. They've got pirated PC games on here. This Play Night thing, yeah, that's all pirated PC games, which I don't agree with. You know, it's one thing to be giving us old retro games that you can't buy new anymore, but these PC games are modern games that you can buy and support the developers. And I personally hate playing pirated PC games that I could easily buy on Steam or Epic or whatever. And even if you don't have a problem with these being here, if you check out the reviews for these drives, you'll see lots of people complain about viruses on them. All of those virus warnings are from the cracked PC games that come on these things. Now, I personally think that most of those quote-unquote virus warnings aren't legitimate. This is just something that you'll come across when you find cracked PC games, and most of the time it's a false flag because they had to modify the DRM to crack the games. And considering that I hate having the cracked PC games on here in the first place, and considering that there are virus warnings and who knows what's up with that, I'm going to suggest that you do what I'm going to do, which is just to straight up delete the Play Night folder to get rid of all that crap. And boom, just like that, I have an extra 1 terabyte of storage to do something better with, like fill with pictures and videos of your mom. And real quick, I want to talk about the value, because whenever I show these emulation drives, I get lots of people saying things like, why do you talk like that? What the hell's wrong with you? And also, oh, just download your own stuff. Why are you paying for games and emulators? Which is true. You know, you can make this yourself, but here's the thing about the price. You do get actual hardware here. Look, this is a Ugreen hard drive enclosure, which is $40, and a 12 terabyte Seagate hard drive, which is, I don't know, $150, something like that if they're refurbished. So consider that the hardware alone will cost you like $200. I think that the system and the games library they have on here is a pretty good deal for the price. I mean, if you have 12 terabytes of your own games and the skills to do this yourself, I think that's amazing, and you should. And if you want to learn how to do this yourself, check out this video that I made where I show you how. But I just want to get ahead of any naysayers who will say that this isn't a good value, because they're wrong. It's not a bad value. It's an amazing value. So, should you buy the all-new Kinhank Hyperspin Drive? Well, probably. Do you need something that's all pre-configured and set up for you? Do you need the craziest, most massive retro game collection ever? Do you specifically want a ton of the higher end stuff? Do you have a PC that can run the higher end stuff? If you want the best ROM collection and pre-configured emulation setup that I've ever seen, then yeah, this is definitely the thing to get. It's not cheap, but considering what you get, I think it's a solid value. But if you don't have a PC that can run the higher end stuff, you might as well get like a lower end drive. I'll toss some links to other products that I've reviewed that would be a good alternative to this. But I personally love this thing. I love it as a product, and I love that it exists for people who don't want to build this themselves. I hate that it comes with the cracked PC games full of virus warnings, but if you get this, you're gonna delete those like I did. Right? Right. So it's all good. And if you want one of these, you can get it either on Amazon or from Kinhank directly. And I'll have links to both of those places in the doodad below. And that brings us to the end. I hope you found this helpful and enlightening. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm happy to answer them if I can. Oh, and make sure you check out Sword of Convallaria, the video sponsor. That game genuinely looks pretty sweet. There's a link below for that as well. But that's it from me for today. I'm TechDweeb. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.